2015, Las Vegas, California, a courtroom. Sheldon Adelson, one of the richest men in America, sits watching his reputation get torn apart, piece by piece. For days, he's been listening to testimony about bribes paid to Chinese officials, about ties to organized crime at his casinos in Macau, allegations serious enough to destroy everything he's built. An official from Nevada's Gaming Control Board sits in the back, taking notes. If the evidence holds up, Adelson's Las Vegas casinos could be stripped of their licenses. His entire empire could crumble. He's already had a rough few years. In 2012, he donated $150 million to defeat Barack Obama. Failed completely. Backed Newt Gingrich for president. That crashed and burned too. Now his business is on trial. But 3 years later, everything will change. The same man sitting in that courtroom will become the most powerful political donor in American history. He'll get a president to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel, kill a nuclear deal with Iran, appoint a national security advisor, even pushed a foreign government to give his company a casino license. This is the story of Sheldon Adelson, a story about how one man's checkbook rewrote American foreign policy, and how our democracy became something you could buy if you had enough money. To understand how Adelson got this kind of power, we need to go back to the beginning. Boston, 1930s. Sheldon Adelson grew up poor. His father drives a cab, never made it past 6th grade. The family lives in a tough neighborhood where young Sheldon gets beaten up for being Jewish. But the kid has something, an entrepreneurial spark. By his mid-30s, he's already made and lost his first fortune. He's started or bought more than 50 different businesses. Some work, most don't. It takes him until his 50s to hit it big. In 1995, he sold the computer trade show called Comdex to a Japanese company for $800 million. Just like that, he's rich beyond imagination. 4 years later, he opened the Venetian Casino Resort in Las Vegas, modeled after Venice, Italy, where he honeymooned with his second wife, Miriam. Gondolas floating on fake canals, painted ceilings, the whole thing, and it's just the beginning. While other casino owners are struggling in Atlantic City, Adelson sees an opportunity nobody else does: Macau, a former Portuguese colony near Hong Kong, controlled by China. For over a century, one company had a monopoly on gambling there, but in 2001, Macau opened up. Adelson beats out everyone, including Donald Trump, to win a license. His bet pays off bigger than anyone imagined. Today, Macau is the gambling capital of the world, makes Las Vegas look very tiny. And Adelson's casinos there print a lot's money. More than half of his company's $13 billion in annual revenue comes from Macau. By 2018, Forbes says he's worth $35 billion, the 21st richest person on Earth. He builds a home so massive his kids need Segways to get around inside. During a drought in Las Vegas, his house uses 8 million gallons of water in a year, enough for 55 average homes. He likes to joke about his wealth. A friend says, "You're the tallest guy in the world." I said, "How do you figure that?" He says, "When you stand on your wallet." But money alone isn't enough for Adelson. He wants something else, something bigger. He wants to shape the world. In 2008, a reporter asked Adelson about his political priorities. His answer is blunt. "I really don't care what happens to Iran. I am for Israel." It's the central fact of Adelson's life. His second wife, Miriam, was born and raised in Israel. She's a doctor who still practices medicine there. They hold dual U.S.-Israel citizenship. At a public event in 2010, Adelson explained his worldview. "The uniform that I wore in the military, unfortunately, was not an Israeli uniform. It was an American uniform." Think about that for a second. An American billionaire saying he wishes he'd served a foreign country's military instead of his own. In 2017, he made it even clearer. "I'm a one-issue person. That issue is Israel. Not just Israel in general. Adelson supports the far-right vision of Israel. He backs Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party. He opposes a Palestinian state. He thinks the Palestinians are an invented people. In 2014, someone asked him about democracy in Israel. His answer shocks even his allies. I think God didn't say anything about democracy. He didn't talk about Israel remaining as a democratic state. So what? His views on Iran are even more extreme. At a conference in 2013, Adelson laid out his plan for dealing with Iran's nuclear program. The U.S. should fire a nuclear weapon into the Iranian desert, he says. Don't hurt anyone, just show them what we can do. Then, threaten that the next bomb will drop on Tehran, a city of 8.6 million people. What are we going to negotiate about? He asks the crowd. It's the kind of thing you'd expect from a movie villain, but Adelson says it with a straight face. And here's the scary part. He has the money to make politicians listen. For years, Adelson has thrown money at Republican candidates. $150 million trying to defeat Barack Obama in 2012. It didn't work. Backed Newt Gingrich. Crashed. Backed Mitt Romney late. Lost again. But Adelson learned something important. One candidate isn't enough. He needs to own the whole party. So he starts writing bigger checks to super PACs, to dark money groups, to anyone who push his agenda. The amounts are staggering. In 2016, he and his wife Miriam gave $82 million to support Trump and other Republicans. In 2018, they spent $124 million. And it's not just the money, it's the timing. Take what happened in 2016. After Adelson wrote a $20 million check to the Senate Leadership Fund, something interesting happened a few weeks later. 3 senators introduced a bill to ban online gambling: Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, and Mike Lee. Online gambling is a direct threat to Adelson's casinos. He's been fighting it for years. And now, these 3 senators, whose campaigns depend on the super PAC Adelson just funded, introduce exactly the bill he wants. Coincidence? Maybe. But it happened over and over. When Newt Gingrich was running in 2012, a reporter asked him why Adelson supported him. Gingrich's answer was simple. He knows I'm very pro-Israel. That's the central value of his life. In other words, Adelson's money buys loyalty, not to America, to his vision for Israel. President George W. Bush understood this. According to a story Adelson loved to tell, Bush once put his arms around Sheldon and Miriam and told Miriam directly, "You tell your prime minister that I need to know what's right for your people, because at the end of the day, it's going to be my policy." Think about what that means. The President of the United States is basically admitting that his policy toward Israel isn't based on American interests. It's based on what Adelson and Netanyahu want. But Bush was nothing compared to what comes next. In 2015, Donald Trump was running for president, and he's calling out the corruption in politics, naming names. Sheldon Adelson is looking to give big dollars to Marco Rubio, Trump tweets, because he feels he can mold him into his perfect little puppet. I agree, Trump keeps hammering the point. I don't need anybody's money. I'm using my own money. I'm not using the lobbyists. I'm not using the donors. I don't care. I'm really rich. But here's the thing about Trump. He's a deal maker, and he knows Adelson has something he needs: money, lots of it. So Trump starts reaching out, quietly at first. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, makes the connection. Kushner is married to Ivanka Trump. They're both Jewish. Ivanka converted to Orthodox Judaism. This matters to Adelson. Trump flies to Las Vegas to meet with Adelson at the Venetian. They talk, they find common ground. Adelson likes Trump's family, likes that Trump let his daughter marry a Jew and convert. In May 2016, Adelson endorsed Donald Trump, writes a Washington Post op-ed calling him a CEO success story that exemplifies the American spirit. Then, the checks start flowing. $20 million to a pro-Trump super PAC, $5 million for the inauguration, By the time it's over, the Adelsons have given at least $82 million to elect Trump and other Republicans. At Trump's inaugural gala, the new president thanks the Adelsons publicly. They gave $120 million, he tells the crowd. The Adelsons get better seats at the inauguration than most cabinet members. Their whole family comes to Washington for the celebration. One of their sons posts a picture on Instagram with the hashtag #HuckFillery. The investment is about to pay off. Big time. February 2017, just weeks after Trump takes office, 2 private planes land near Washington, D.C. on the same Thursday evening. One carries Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The other carries Sheldon Adelson. That night, Adelson had dinner at the White House. Trump is there, so is Jared Kushner, and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. The next morning, Adelson attends a breakfast with Abe and a small group of American CEOs. They talk about casinos, about licenses in Japan. Then, Abe has a meeting with Trump. After that, they fly down to Mar-a-Lago for the weekend. They golf, they eat, they talk. And during one of those conversations, Trump brings up Sheldon Adelson's bid to build a casino in Japan. The Japanese side is shocked. It was totally brought up out of the blue, says someone briefed on the exchange. They were a little incredulous that he would be so brazen. Here's the President of the United States pushing a major donor's business interests directly to a foreign leader. Not American interests, not national security, a casino license for Sheldon Adelson. It violates every norm about how presidents should behave. But Trump doesn't care. Adelson gave him money. Now he's paying Adelson back. And that's just the beginning. In May 2018, something even bigger happens. Trump announces the U.S. is pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal. The day before the announcement, Adelson flew from Las Vegas to Washington. He meets privately with Trump, Vice President Mike Pence, and National Security Advisor John Bolton. Bolton is there because of Adelson. Adelson pushed Trump to appoint him, wanted a hawk who would kill the Iran deal. And it worked. Trump announced the U.S. is leaving the agreement. Everything Adelson wanted. A few days later, there's a ceremony in Jerusalem. The U.S. is opening its new embassy, moving it from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This is huge. For decades, presidents from both parties refused to do this. Too controversial. It would hurt peace negotiations, make the Palestinians furious. But Trump does it anyway. And sitting in the front row at the ceremony, Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, right next to Netanyahu and Jared Kushner. According to a book by New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman, Adelson gave $20 million to a pro-Trump super PAC specifically to get the embassy moved. Trump promised during the campaign he'd do it, and Adelson made sure he kept his word. When the embassy opens, 58 Palestinians are shot and wounded during protests, 2,700 more injured. Miriam Adelson writes about the ceremony in the newspaper her family owns. She's practically glowing, calls it a crowning moment for U.S. foreign policy. One Israeli official, talking about how the embassy move happened, sums it up perfectly. David Friedman's brains, Sheldon Adelson's money, and Trump's balls. That's American foreign policy now, bought and paid for. But Adelson doesn't stop with Iran and Israel. He's got his hands in everything. When someone in the Trump administration displeases him, they get pushed out. In 2017, a group funded by Adelson started attacking National Security Advisor McMaster, claims he has animus toward Israel. Adelson personally backs the campaign, calls Trump to complain, pushes for John Bolton to replace McMaster. In March 2018, Trump fired McMaster and appointed Bolton. Then there's Scott Pruitt, the EPA administrator. Adelson has an old friend in Israel who owns a company called Watergen. They make machines that pull water from the air. Adelson asks Pruitt to help his friend. So Pruitt mobilizes dozens of EPA officials to study the technology, pushes them to rush a research deal. EPA officials freaked out, sent emails saying Pruitt is violating normal procedures. One scientist warned that the technology has been around for decades, and there are 70 other companies that do the same thing. But it doesn't matter. Pruitt gives Watergen its deal anyway, because Adelson asked. Adelson even influences who works at the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo. The new ambassador hires a casino industry executive as senior advisor, someone who can help push gambling interests in Japan. By 2018, Adelson was basically running a shadow government. Cabinet officials jump when he calls. Trump takes his calls anytime. He's got more influence than most elected officials. I would put Adelson at the very top of the list of both access and influence in the Trump administration, says Craig Holman, who studies money and politics. I've never seen anything like it before, and I've been studying this for 40 years. And Adelson's not quiet about it. He tells his shareholders that insiders say his company is in the number one pole position to win a casino license in Japan. The whole thing is corrupt, out in the open, and nobody can stop it because Adelson has something no one else does: unlimited money. January 11th, 2021. Sheldon Adelson dies at age 87. Cancer. The tributes pour in. Trump calls him a true patriot. Republicans praise his philanthropy. Casino executives remember him as a visionary. But here's what they don't talk about. What Adelson really represents. He represents the death of the idea that all citizens are equal. That democracy is one person, one vote. Adelson proved you can buy politicians like candy. And if you have enough money, you can buy not just politicians, but entire policy outcomes: moving an embassy, killing a nuclear deal, appointing advisors, getting casino licenses, all of it for sale to the highest bidder. His widow, Miriam, inherited his fortune, $27 billion, and she's made clear she'll keep playing the game. In 2024 alone, she donated over $100 million to Donald Trump's 2024 campaign cycle. The legacy continues. The family still owns newspapers in Israel and Las Vegas, still funds political groups, still has access to the highest levels of power. In 2019, Miriam wrote an article in her family's newspaper. She was frustrated that American Jews didn't support Trump more. She wrote, "Would it be too much to pray for a day when the Bible gets a book of Trump, much like it has a book of Esther?" Think about that. She wanted Trump to be in the Bible because he gave her and her husband what they wanted. That's what American democracy has become. A system where billionaires worship politicians who serve their interests, and everyone else just watches it happen. Adelson's final political act was flying Jonathan Pollard to Israel on his private Boeing 737. Pollard was a U.S. Navy analyst who spent 30 years in prison for spying against America for Israel. Adelson gave him a hero's welcome in Israel, flying a convicted spy out of America on his private jet. The symbolism couldn't be clearer. For decades, Adelson said his real loyalty was to Israel, not America. And in the end, that's exactly how he lived, using his American wealth to shape American policy for another country's benefit. Sheldon Adelson proved that in America, if you're rich enough, you can buy anything, even your country's foreign policy.